Okay guys, so we're going to do a real quick demo for you on the UEFI support that started in AOS 5.11 and has a couple features that you may be looking for. A, being able to clone those UEFI VMs, having a gold image of a UEFI VM, and then cloning it, booting it up without any issues, and then of course expansion of disks, I think is a couple other things that you're looking for. So let's just log in here to Prism Central. There we go. And then we're going to head over to this cluster because I'm just going to want to do it in Prism Element in case you're not running Prism Central. So here I've got a cluster, and just probably the quickest and easiest way for me to show you the versioning is to come over here to Upgrade Software. And you can see I'm running 5.16.1, which is an STS release. And let me pop over to the portal and show you some differences between the releases. So it may be a little confusing. So the current long-term support release as of today is 5.10.9.1. And so that's the current LTS release. The next LTS release, which is going to come out mid-March, mid this month, is 5.15. Okay. If you want the functionality that comes with 5.11 STS release, you have to go to one of these STS releases. So either 5.11.2.3, but in the case of if you're currently running 5.10.9.1, the only STS release that you can upgrade to is the 5.16. So that's what I've done on this particular cluster. It isn't a short-term service release, so it's not an LTS. Again, the next version, if you want to get the full UEFI support and you don't want to do an STS release, you have to go to 5.15. So, but for purposes of demonstration right now, I'm just going to show you this 5.16.1 release and that UEFI support. So I'm going to go over here to my VMs and do a quick search here for Vinny. And I've got a number of VMs. And matter of fact, let me just, this is some stuff I was playing with earlier. So let's just go power those off and get rid of them. Because I'm going to do something similar to what I was doing, but I just want to free up the space. So let's kill that and that one. And it'll make the demo go a little bit better too. So we've got this gold image, and if I show you this particular gold image, it is a Windows 20 Server 2016 server with 2 vCPUs and 1 core per vCPU. We're running about 16 gigs of RAM. I have a CD-ROM attached, and I also have a 100 gig SCSI disk, which is basically where the operating system is sitting, and it is a UEFI boot configuration. So I'm going to use this as my gold image. The first thing I want to show you is I'm just going to clone that one. Oops, did I click it? I don't think I clicked it. There we go. We're going to clone that one. I'm going to create 2 clones, and I'm going to call it Vinny 2016-1 and -2. So we'll just go ahead and save that. And in a second, you'll see Vinny 2016-1 and -2 pop up. Come on. All right, there they are. So we had 2016-1 and -2. There are 2 clones that we're going to boot up. First, I'll just show you, hey, look, we're going to power it on to show you there's no UEFI kind of issue or support problem. And then, yeah, I'll leave that one. I was going to power the other one on, but we'll just leave it for now. So there we are. We're booting up with the UEFI Boot Manager, and we'll log on. There we go. And just to show you real quickly, we'll wait for Server Manager to come up, but I can just show you in this PC we've got 100 gig disk. Okay. All right. We'll close that one out. We will demonstrate that we can take this particular clone, and even though it was originally with a 100 gig disk, maybe they need a little something bigger. So let's change that to 200 gig. And then we'll go down to, as soon as that comes up, we'll save that, and let's go ahead and power it on. And we'll launch the console as soon as it comes up as an option. Sometimes the refresh takes a second. And if I click off of it and click on it, sometimes it'll force a refresh. All right, so we got the UEFI coming up. There we go. We're logged in. And this time I'm going to go ahead and pop this up so you can see, since it is a clone from the original VM that had a 100 gig disk, it still only shows 100 gigs. And that's because in Windows, when you add additional service or additional storage space, you have to go in and, oh, wait, did that come up? It's just taking a minute for it to boot, I think. There it goes. It came up here in the background. So let's close out the server manager just so we can clean things up a little bit. You have to go into disk management. So if you add additional disks or you expand a disk, it'll show up. And you can see here in the disk manager, there's our original 100 gig from the clone. Here's 100 gig of the disk space that we've added. We just have to go in here and say, hey, let's extend this volume. Grab that and hit finish. And now we have a 200 gig disk. And if I come over here and just hit refresh, you'll see that change to a 200 gig disk. Now, one of the beauties of our platform is you don't have to do this before you boot up, or if you want to add more disk, you can do it while the machine's running. So I'm going to come back over here to the Prism. There's the 2016-2. I'm going to say, let's update that. And here you see, oops, I didn't grab my scroll bar. Here you see the 200 gig. Hey, let's add another 100 gig. So let's make it a total of 300. Update that. Save it. Now let's flip back over here to our VM. Here it is, Vinny 2016-2. Here's the 200 gig that we just had. I'm just going to refresh this. Oops. Refresh. And you'll see the other 100 gig pop up. Again, we go through the extension wizard. Go ahead and hit finish. There we've got our 300 gig disk. If I refresh over here, you see there's my 300 gig disk. So we did all that with the machine powered up. Didn't have to reboot it. So you can see that it works out pretty darn well. Now, with that said, just want to show you real quick with creation of a UEFI VM. We'll call this one Vinny-3. And then we'll give it, not 32. We'll give it 2 vCPUs. Same thing. I'm going to add a Windows 2016 DVD to the CD-ROM drive. Let's also add in we would typically add another CD-ROM so that we've got the drivers. Oops, wrong one. Our VirtIO, so we have our drivers where we can read the SCSI drives. And then we'll add in one more disk. Oops, a little too fast there. This one being the SCSI, and we'll do like our original 100 gig disk. And so what we've got is we've got a Vinny-3, 2 vCPUs, 1 core per vCPU, and 16 gigs of memory. And then we've got 2 CD-ROMs and the 100 gig drive. And then down here, we're going to change this to UEFI, so it's a UEFI instead of a legacy BIOS, and then hit save. And that'll pop up here in a second. In the background, it's creating that VM for us. And then what we're going to do is, I'm not going to go through the entire setup. Nobody wants to sit there and watch me install 2016 because it's something that we've kind of all done before. But what I will do is I will go ahead and power it on. So we're going to, oops, wrong one. Let's make sure we got the right VM there. There we go, power on. And then what we'll do is we'll launch the console when it pops up. And then I just want to show you like the UEFI booting, right? So launch the console, and it's going to boot up to this screen, which basically is like, hey, failed to boot from UEFI because we haven't created it yet. That's all part of the Windows 2016 installation aspect that we create this. So what we have to do is we have to go into this, click F2 for the UEFI boot manager. So when I click F2, it's going to boot up to the UEFI boot manager. I come down to the boot manager and just say, hey, I've got these 2 DVDs that I've configured. I think the first one I did, I think, is the 2016. So it should be this master one. If not, it's going to be this one. So let's just go ahead and just, I'm going to highlight it, hit enter, and then what it should do is give me that. I press any key to boot from the CD or DVD, and then it's going to load up the Windows 2016 DVD. And then you go through the normal installation process as usual. So pretty simple to use the UEFI, and I hope that answers all of your questions.